to make this your career. Was any of it just this sense of trying to right these injustices that went on and might still be going on?
No, actually, is the honest answer. I fell into it by accident. I still in sign language now 30 years later, and I do it because it's the most wonderful thing.
How did you fall into it by accident?
There's a college called the City Lit College in London for adults, and they used to have a very big deaf department. And one day I was in a class with another hearing child to deaf parents, a coder, and we were being thrown out because we were hearing. And as they threw me out, they kind of said, "Oh, by the way, are you free tomorrow?" I was, I think, 19. And they wanted me to interpret for a team meeting. They'd seen me signing. And so I started, they paid me. I was 19. Being paid is very nice for something that you think is easy. But actually the reason I've carried on is because sign language is the most wonderful language. I mean, it's just so incredible, it's so rich, it's so interesting. And I get to interpret everywhere. I get to go into situations which most people never see. And I see the whole range from kind of literally from street cleaners' meetings through to the Old Bailey, you know, and that's such a privilege.
Are you limited by where you can sign? Because, I mean, I have to admit my ignorance. I presumed that sign language was a universal language, and it's not.
No. So sign languages are just like spoken languages. They belong to a place. And so most countries will have their own indigenous sign language. And because they're not related to the spoken language, it's not... So, for example, American Sign Language and British Sign Language are completely different. American Sign Language is more similar to French Sign Language because a lot of the teachers who initially went to France from deaf schools came from France.
Do you know American Sign Language?
I lived there for a year, so I can use some American Sign Language.
Do you find that frustrating?
That's a complicated question because... No, I don't, because I respect everyone has their own language, and that's part of what makes the world interesting. But actually also deaf people are very good communicators because they're used to communicating with hearing people who can't sign. And of course it is a visual language, and so if I met someone in Italy, for example, who's deaf, I would be able to find out whether they're married, do they have kids.
Oh, the potential comedy in this. For a sign which in one sign language means one thing might mean something very different and hilariously different in another sign language.
Yes, and certainly there are...
Let's not go there.
It's a radio programme, so let me just say that there is a sign for soda pop in Scotland, which is also a sign in British Sign Language, which means to swear at someone.
Hang on a minute, so there's differences between England and Scotland as well when it comes to sign language, for goodness sake.
And also in language.
Oh my goodness.
There's dialects and regional accents and all the rest of it, just like their own spoken languages.
Tell me about your interest in Gambia.